Hello, namaste, and welcome to the next episode of Siribat. Today we are having, we all talk about internet, technology, everything is driven by technology, and in fact, economic development is also driven by technology. So, in this regard, I think it's essential to look at AI and all emerging technologies that are coming up. So, to discuss with this, we not only have our co-host Lavpreet Kaur and also a very special guest, and who is a very dear friend of mine, and the friendship goes way back to our childhood. He is Mr. Jayakaran. He is in the final year of engineering, and he's been active on this front for quite a long time now. And I think Lavpreet will now give a few small introductions. Over to you, Jay.
Okay, so hello everyone. I hope all of you are doing really well. First of all, I would like to request Jaykaran to give like a little bit of introduction of him. In a sense, I'll ask him in first, but I want him to give a little closure of what he is doing and what's his name, from where does he belong, and all of that.
Yeah. Firstly, thank you, Pawan and Lavpreet, for having me on this podcast. And I'm Loud. And about me, if you really ask about in a quick sense, I'm a final year computer science graduate, and I'm interested in all the ambidextrous, non-technical, and technical stuff. I'm a person who loves developing machine learning and deep learning algorithms for various applications, and I'm in that friend since many months nowadays. And I'm trying to improve and come up with proper engineered applications so that it will be benefitable to any sort of lives, any sphere of lives. So in short, it is about my love towards the digital technologies.
Great. So here it goes for a high five, a virtual high five with all the engineers who are right here listening to us. Okay. So there I want to know that when did you realize that you want to end up into engineering? Because it's usually engineering is a field which is much talked about and mocked these days. And people think that we don't even imagine to be engineers ever. They think that we just land into engineering somehow. So I want to know from you, when did you figure out that you wanted to be an engineer? Was it since childhood that you played with your toy cars, removing all the parts from it and then joining it again when your mother said you will probably be a mechanical engineer in the future? And how did you land up into AI specifically after realizing that you want to be in CSE?
I wish my mother would have done that for me, but unfortunately, I'm an unfortunate engineer, as many other engineers in our country, and I had no vision of going into engineering in the initial stages of my life. So I don't, and even I have love towards chemistry as well. So the love towards computers started with a series called Fibonacci. Like I was introduced to something called Fibonacci sequence when I was in class 8, if I'm not wrong, and I was shocked. I was really shocked how the steps of the sequence was going on, and I don't know how the code was actually working, but it didn't stop me from learning. I tried to explore how this actually works, and maybe to figure it out, to have a sense of logical and aptitudinal thinking, I have taken up computer science as my engineering degree. So I'm still figuring out how I can be a better engineer, and that is how I landed up into computer science. And since then, uh, computer science is a diverse department. Basically, it's a completely diverse discipline which includes everything, starting from chemical to mechanical, material science to biotech. You can apply computer science to anything. So I discovered the potential of AI way back in third year when I was exploring machine learning. I came to know how this actually impacts industries, and I came to realize how it is actually helpful for business development. And I also came to know how it actually uses the data which we are continuously generating at a very greater rate. So that sort of a point which triggered my mind, and I thought, why don't I give a shot into machine learning. So since then I was looking into various applications of machine learning. Then I realized there is something called deep learning, there is something called artificial intelligence, which leverages the use of data, and which you can intelligently train machines and make them a viable human sensible life. So that is how it started. It all started with an inspiration of few talks when I was looking into few TEDx videos. And then I realized the importance of data, and then I realized how machines can replace humans, and how can they impact our lives in both efficient and time management sense. And then I realized the importance of machine learning, followed by the other terms of deep learning. So from then I tried to explore, and I'm still learning, because there is always a chance to improve, and there is a better scope to improve as always. So I'm trying to learn as well as build some applications. And in the recent times I have developed a solution, an AI solution for social distancing as well. Yeah, that is how you to apply, and that is how it works. So, I'm an unfortunate engineer, and now I'm trying to develop good solutions wherever it is really useful, and have some impact. So basically we need to think in product sense, product in terms of profit, and even in terms of non-profit as well. So an engineer is someone who can just identify any problem and try to come up with an efficient solution with a very limited amount of resources whatever are available. And that is how I defined, and I came up taking computer science as my, the part of my routine nowadays. So that is how it started. And yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. It's incredible how you were motivated from a Fibonacci series, which is a part of everyone's life. I think whenever we are in schooling, we are introduced to natural numbers, this series, that series, fish, we build up into those things. And it's for all of you. All I would not say that you're an unfortunate engineer. It's incredible that you have had an idea, you had this approach to actually understand the logical approach behind Fibonacci series and all of those, and later on you landed into AI. And I think your life would be really interesting, right? Talking to humanoids and understanding how to give your senses to a machine. Though I think we can never beat the intelligence of a man. But still, I think
That's
you're
true.
doing a pretty good job. You're dealing with people who are better than people, apparently. Well,
Yeah.
jokes apart,
But the
if
irony
I
is, we have never used Fibonacci sequence in our life so far.
because when I am also an engineer right now, and when I study all those sine, cos, theta formulas, trigonometry, and all of that huge long summations and integrations and all of that, I really think that when in my life am I going to use all of this, like when I am going to apply this formula in my life, I don't have any clue of that. Well, having said that, I think you're one of those who should be an inspiration for those who want to take up engineering as a career. And just like you were saying that you have been to a lot of competitions, you have been to many talk shows, you have also worked with companies, real time, understanding learning, and you have worked on projects, real life projects. I want to know from you, Jay, what's your experience in a sense? How do you feel, and what is the difference between India and other countries? How is the relative development? How is the thought process of people? How are they adapting to this new culture? Because AI is the buzzword these days. I've not been into practical work, I've been into research, and researchers are going gaga over this word. So, what's your observation when you talk about AI relative in other countries?
Yeah, definitely. My recent experience, I visited to Singapore, so I would like to share about that experience. And what I witnessed is Singapore is really a technologically advanced country in all spheres, starting from airports to even normal roads. So they try to integrate technology into everywhere. Like, name a part, you'll have some sort of engineered solution. So the first observation, what impressed me was when I landed the Changi airport, the Singapore's biggest. It's a very good airport. It's like you can spend like 4 days or 5 days in the airport itself. So the first thing is, whenever we are checking out or whenever we are checking in, in India or somewhere, in any country, they'll be manually stamping on your passport, right? And what happens in that airport is you just scan your passport, and there is a camera which will be recording your face. It does facial recognition, and it manages the data whatever is present on your passport, I mean, to the Indian authority. It will be mapped, and using the facial recognition, it will be saying that the person, whoever is there, whoever is checking in, is the right
Mhm.
person. and it also checks the log data of my passport without any interference of any human there. So that was quite impressive. I was really shocked. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get a stamp in my passport. That was my first thought, but unfortunately it was some completely automated. So I couldn't get a stamp of Singapore though. So yeah, that is how they build up this facial recognition activity there. So this is one important application of AI which can be used in every other airport as well. And this is first observation. And the second observation is when I was at the university. University is like very big. It's Nanyang Technological University, and it was very big. The other observation is they utilize energy to a very greater level. Like in terms of solar panels, we if I talk about solar panels, our country is still adopting and keeping solar panels, and they're trying to make it improve better and better. But what they are trying to do is they already kept better solar panels, and now they're optimizing the energy whatever has been observed into the solar panels. So they're trying to come up with few algorithms where energy is utilized properly in an optimized sense, basically. So that is another quite interesting application. And if you come and talk about the transportation over there, starting from the airport to the place where you go, name a destination, and you have a full long connectivity like everywhere. So that is also again, they have started using this digital technologies, including AI and other technologies as well, where they can increase the frequency of trains and buses and whatever the public transport is available to the users based on the peak hours and everything. And the other is important observation was the utilization of their seaports. It's completely surrounded by oceans, and whatever tidal energy or wind energy, whatever their advantages of, they are trying to come up with good power generators, and they're improving the power generations using optimizations, again using the complex calculations which are involved in AI. So you name a sphere of life there, you'd be finding a solution. And they're very much into humanoid robots. And I came to hear an explanation about a robot there. My colleague where I was working in, he was first a new person there. So he just saw the robot at the library of the university. He thought that lady was a receptionist, and he went to the robot and asked like some direction, and he wasn't sure that it was a robot, and it was not answering to his question, it seems. Then he realized someone coming from back and told that it's not human, it's a humanoid robot, and it's not yet activated. It's still in the the computation phase. So that is how yeah, that he shocked me as well. So I had a chance of meeting that robot as well. I forgot its name. So yeah, they are into autonomous vehicles as well. And in Singapore is a country like, whenever you are coming up with a good autonomous solution, it is a country where it is used as a recommendation to test their vehicles. So that is the platform they have come up with. So in the same sense, if a country like India, which is completely developing, if would have implemented the solutions in at least in the normal spheres of our lives, it would really create a great impact. But the companies whatever are present in India, are doing their business analytics to a very greater extent using digital technologies. But I'm very unfortunate to see these technologies evolving into the public spheres of life. So that is where I think we are lagging, but I'm pretty sure we'll be doing well in that aspect as well in the coming days. Yeah.
Yeah, I just have one thing to add. That's why I maybe interrupted you. I'm sorry for that. So receptionists in India also don't reply. So that's pretty much, there's one thing which is similar between your humanoid receptionist and the human receptionist here in India. Both of them don't reply to whatever you ask. Okay, I think Pavan would be really interested to ask a question because he's not from the engineering field. I think I've taken his chance of asking you something interesting.
So yeah, Jakaran, I had visited Singapore quite many years ago. But even then, whatever you're talking about it, even then they started developing. I mean, Singapore has been the epicenter of how technology and economic development can come in hand in hand and grow together. So it's a best example there can be apart from Israel. So when you think of you mentioned the point about companies in India not they're not fully commercializing the technology that they create. I think we have to focus more on that. I mean, and give opportunities to everybody to bring out technologies and then commercialize it further. So what do you think when you look at Indian system, when you compare India and Singapore in terms of in this area, you have compared it in a industry-wise area situation where companies are doing what they are doing. But at the education level, in colleges and all that, how do you see things panning out? How do you find the psyche of the students and how do they approach the problem in India and in Singapore from your
Okay.
experience?
Okay. Uh, yeah, this is really a good question, to be honest. And what I can define in India is most of the engineering colleges or whatever are teaching engineering, which has good number of branches, I mean disciplines. But the whole intent behind having so many branches is not unified. What I mean to tell is they're not working in an interdisciplinary sense. If you're confined to a mechanical discipline, people tends to think that mechanical engineers should work with automobiles and you
Right,
shouldn't
right.
even think about any other thing. Or
Mm.
when you come to a department like material science, material science is not always present in every other university. If you talk about civil engineering, people always have a mindset that civil engineers are supposed to only deal with the construction and architecture of the buildings. So that is the sort of sense or action is developed in our country especially. I'm not talking about the premier institutes but the rest of the institutes in mind. So, and what happens in other countries is when I visited Europe the previous summer, I had a chance of visiting Trinity College. So the people there, whoever is from whatever discipline, they were really working in a multidisciplinary approach. So that is what is really important. And if you want me to be very specific about how AI can be used in the engineering spheres of life, uh, I'll tell in this way. If you consider mechanical discipline, mechanical engineers can be dealing with AI in terms of autonomous vehicles. You're giving power to a vehicle so that it can drive without an intervention of human being. So
So do you
autonomous
mean to
vehicles is one
say
field where mechanic.
do you mean to say something like driverless cars and all of that when you say autonomous
Yes,
vehicles?
absolutely. Driverless. Yeah. So you're powering the cars to make intelligent decisions so that there is no requirement of a human being to drive the car. So that is
Right.
completely driverless,
Right.
which is what Tesla doing. So if you talk about, yeah, a mechanical discipline, autonomous vehicles is a very big and diverse field where a mechanical engineer can have the sense of computer science skill where not only computer science, see, AI cannot be classified into computer science as it can be
Right.
applied into any other discipline. So if a mechanical engineer is very engaged or who is lovable to develop some product for any for the market, for example, so you can try something on autonomous vehicles where there are lots of loopholes in autonomous vehicles. You can try picking out the problem wherever an autonomous vehicle is picking. It might be not to an industry level. If you are a student, at least finding out the problem itself, you'll analyze the domain properly. So that is where you come up with a good sense of thinking where you can cover up the gap between that industry and student level. So mechanical department can be looking in autonomous vehicle in terms of artificial intelligence. And when it comes for civil engineering, building or architecting is not the only task they do. They can even do much better. See, for example, if you're constructing a building and you wanted to analyze the health of the building, it is utmostly important for you to monitor that. And how can you monitor? You can deploy sensors on that building. After deploying the sensors on that building, using the data whatever the sensors are generating, you can make an analysis that how good is the building is. You can define the health of the architecture, health of the structure. So that is where another application comes into picture if you're talking in civil discipline, building assessment. So that is also very important, just not constructing the building but making it sustain, whenever there are tough times in the environment, making it standable. For example, take Burj Khalifa. Did anyone actually think about Burj Khalifa? Because it's so tall. It's the longest building in the world, tallest building in the world. And did you ever notice how the architecture is? And did you ever notice how they actually monitor Burj Khalifa, having those deserted wins? So you might be you should have some such sort of feeling, and you should try to think a kind of ability where you can apply that similar solution to another aspect where it actually produces a new output. So that is where civil engineers can try upon. And if you talk about aeronautical as one of the discipline, aeronautical or aerospace, which is quite confusing. I'm really not sure, but it's something which deals with dynamics of the vehicles, flight dynamics basically, where you can try. See, drone is another domain. So drone is somewhat
Yeah.
related to the lift, the building lifts. So you can keep the video modules onto the drone and make some analytics, basically drone analytics. It can be used in agricultural spheres, it can be used in golf course. Actually, golf is some place where it's not monitored properly. If you come up with a product where golf court monitoring or golf court video analytics, that is also an awesome product. See, we have come up with a solution already. So that is how you can think about drones. And even if you talk about other names of drones, are like quadcopters or whatever, maybe you can try video analytics there, come up with some AI based application there, and you basically mix the knowledge of the airlift and the video analytics. So you are making an interdisciplinary approach. So that is how you tend to think about a problem and you come up with a solution. So aero students can work on this. And if you talk about material science or chemical as part of discipline, they have various other things. They do a lot of experiments in laboratories, maybe like making some mixing the composition of chemicals to form some other chemical. So if that is the problem statement, you can try to predict what will be the product's qualitative or quantitative value for that particular chemical if you give this particular ratio using the past data. So again, you can use machine learning here so that you'll have a sense of knowledge how the new product will be. And when you perform an experiment and if you derive the results, you can compare that results with the machine based results, and you'll have an analysis. Okay, this is how my experimented values are, and that is how the machine predicted values are. So maybe we are going somewhere wrong in the compositions or something like that. You can make n number of inferences out of that. So that is how I'm not telling this is the only application. It might be one of the applications for material science. So that is how you name a department or name a discipline, you'll be coming towards interdisciplinary sense. Then you'll definitely come up with a good solution which can have a major impact
I
on our
think
lives. So
that
that is
shows
how
viewers that shows that AI is not restricted to civil engineering, and it is in fact, you know, it doesn't have any boundaries. Any field you take, you have AI in it, and it can be applied in its own way. And I think for those engineers and who are upcoming engineers, I think we have to realize this fact that you cannot be in a single-minded approach or a narrow approach. Your approach has to be dynamic. It has to be, you have to learn what is there in the other fields and apply that in your understanding of your subject, and then move on. This is something vital for students in India and who are studying engineering. It's a very important point you made, and I think most of our viewers who are in engineering field must take note of this. And moving on, I just like to add on to one perspective that you brought in. You know, I'll tell you what, if you take economic development of the world in over the last 200 years or so, okay, you find that a lot of this development that has taken place has been primarily due to technology, innovation, and nothing else. You have in fact models that have come out which factor in the technology part of whatever technological advancement is being factored into growth, and then you have a model coming out. And if you take a history of our last 200 years, you find that The first industrial revolution was due to technology when you had steam engine and Bessemer steel converter and all of these coming up, and then you have the internet finally. And now I believe, and I think you'll agree on that, that AI is the most path-breaking technology in the coming era because it has applications in every field you take. So before we conclude, because we have just some 10 minutes left, I just like to ask you, what do you think, apart from, is there any change in, we have taken, a lot of government programs, everything have come out over the last few years, which talk about, a lot of things. So in that aspect, I'll see if Lovepreet is here. I'd just like to see if she has any question. Lovepreet, over to you. You have any question to ask?
So answer, I think, Jay, I should say that you have given really good insights that all the branches can actually come up with ideas in AI. There's no restriction as such that only electronics and communication people or CSC people go on to take AI as their field. This is one misconception which has been sorted. So all of you who are aiming to be engineers in the future, you can definitely look up to ML and AI, which are like the best fields right now. Having said that, Jay, I think it's really important to make that decision. We have talked quite a lot about how one can take up how one can take up AI when he's in a particular field. But what if a person, a student in class 10 or in class 11 or 12, whatever, in high school, is thinking about taking engineering as a field? So, what's your view about the framework of engineering as a profession, as a career? And what advice would you like to give to those who are thinking about becoming engineers? What should ignite them? What should drive them? Should they really get into this field if they are forced and if they just get 9 plus CGPA? Or is there something that actually should be attracting them towards this particular field?
Okay, there is no hard and fast rule that you need to do that and this. It all depends on a personal interest. And when it comes, if you wanted to be an engineer and if you wanted to take maybe computer science as your profession, one thing where you can show some attention to is logical abilities. I believe most of the computer engineers, not only computer engineers, whoever is interested in to do some competitive coding are somewhat good enough in logical abilities. So they have a sense of thinking attitude in logical and even analytical sense. As said, having some good thinking abilities in those sense, you can definitely take up engineering as one of your choice. And to be honest, an engineer is he is the one who can actually identify a problem and come up with a solution. And this has been said from many days and many years, and this is absolutely true. If you have a sense of improving something, or if you have a sense of creating a good impact for a problem which is not yet addressed, if that is a kind of attitude what you have in your younger age, maybe in 9th standard or 10th standard, 11th, 12th, then one should definitely move up and take up their career as engineering. And I'm pretty sure that irrespective of any branch, whoever is good in logical and analytical skills, they will be good in competitive coding. And if you are if you are a good competitive programmer, then you'll be having a high chance of getting placed into the FANG companies, which are named as Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Apple and Google. So these are the essential product based companies where they use every sort of technology to a very greater extent, starting from AI to another part, any digital technology basically. So the suggestion what can I give is, if don't rely on your marks or something like that. If you think you love solving problems, or solving mathematical related things, and if you love solving analytical related things, and if you have a sense of attitude to grow up as an individual where you come up with an impactful solution, then you should not try, you should go into engineering as by heart, and you can do wonders. Being an unfortunate engineer, I'm trying to do a greater extent. And if you're a fortunate engineer, then I'm pretty sure you'll be giving stories to be told of to other people. So that is what I try to do. And if you ask me about the framework related aspects of AI, if one is trying to start up or move into or learn that, maybe I can recommend few names which can be helpful. For machine learning related thing, you can use scikit-learn as one framework. It's basically a Python module, and TensorFlow from Google, PyTorch from Facebook, and Keras is another framework which is now integrated into TensorFlow, where you can use it for your learning. And if you want to actually start with the foundations of machine learning and deep learning, I would suggest the courses by Andrew Ng on Coursera. You'll definitely find lots of resources on web where you can start reading about it and finding out some sense about it. So, yeah.
This was pretty good, and I think if you are a fortunate engineer, you'll probably start making sense in the first year itself. Otherwise, what happens is unfortunate
I'm
engineers don't make any sense until the third
trying
year.
to explain. Yeah, that's true. A late realization is always happening between among every engineer. If
Yeah,
you realize your skill beforehand, maybe when you're before taking up engineering as your career, I'm pretty sure you'll be landing up with a very great vision and good
yeah.
opportunities.
Also, it's only before, like a month before placement drives, when a person realizes that problem solving, analytical thinking, personality development is something which an engineer has to have.
Yeah.
Otherwise this is something which we ignore. We think, okay, he's playing with parts, probably he likes coding and hacking, so he should be an engineer. But yes, at you'll probably realize that in the last year, 1 month before your placement drives, that you as an engineer, you have to be a very good professional as well, and you have to have those qualities which Jay mentioned: problem solving and analytical thinking. So better is to build on these qualities from the start, from 8th class, from 9th class onwards.
Absolutely.
And if you really feel you have a passion for it, go for it. Okay. So I think it's quite hectic now. It's been a lot of engineering going on right here. So now I'd like to ask you a few rapid fire questions. So Mr. Engineer, you have to show your engineering now, the real engineering. So yes,
Come
the rules for the game are
on.
very, very simple. I'll be asking you a question and you have to answer the question within 3 to 4 seconds without giving a thought. In a sense, obviously you'll give a thought, but whatever comes first in your mind, you have to say that. And you're not allowed to,
Okay.
you know, for our viewers, let me tell you, he has not at all, he's not aware of what the questions are, and you're not allowed to fabricate your answers at all. So whatever intelligence you want to put in your machines, put that somewhere else, not here. Right now, you're just allowed to answer the questions with your intuition. Cool?
Okay. Let me try my level best.
Okay, we shall start now. Okay, the first question is, what do you spend most of your time doing in a day?
Spending time with my family nowadays.
Family. Okay, the second is, what and who inspires you with the awe?
Sundar Pichai.
Sorry.
Sundar Pichai.
Sundar
Okay,
Pichai, Google, yeah.
yeah. Okay, the third question is, where does your passion come from? Your passion for engineering, which is rare.
Oh, really? If you talk about my passion towards engineering, I'm still trying to figure out the things, but my passion towards life comes from my father.
Okay. So you've been to many places, just like you said, to Harvard, to Singapore, to Europe. What's the most weirdest thing that you've ever eaten?
I'm a vegetarian, so fortunately, I don't have any other answer.
There could be weird things in vegetarians as well. I mean, vegetarian meal as well.
I never found anything very weird. So I don't have an answer for
Okay, cool.
that.
Okay, what is the first thing you do when you get up in the morning?
Uh,
No thinking.
the, I don't know. It's been a
You do nothing?
mixed kind of actions, mixed kind of actions. But I
Okay,
try to
what is the
beat
most
my brother
probable
whenever I
thing?
want to. Beating my brother. I'll
Wow.
irritate
Oh my
him.
God. That's the best morning routine I've ever heard about. Okay, if you had to describe yourself in 3 words, what would be those 3 words?
Result oriented, confident, and hardworking.
Great. Okay, what comes to your mind when you think of Elon Musk?
Iron Man of the real world.
I
Iron
didn't
Man
get
of
you.
the real world.
Oh,
Iron Man
nice.
of the real world.
Got it, got it, got it. Okay, one word for the Indian engineering system.
Go by passion.
I would say pin drop silence for 2 minutes. No words required at all. Okay. If you had an opportunity to play with your phone, just like you play with the machines, what would you do with your phone?
Text my girlfriend if I have one.
Unfortunately, engineers don't have that. Okay, I think this is the last question. What do you think of iRobot? It's a movie. Do you think that kind of a world is possible in reality? The kind of world depicted in the movie.
Uh, yeah, it is. It's a good movie, but I never completely watched. What comes to my mind is Will Smith in that movie. So yeah, it is really possible because robots are as we mentioned, they can be trained to a very greater extent than human level intelligence. So if that is a situation which occurs, and I'm pretty not sure how would we even sustain in that sort of sense. Uh, I'm really having no clue about it. Having that sort of a, atmosphere or that sort of world is good to an extent, but I don't think robots are, you know, above human beings.
Mhm.
So
Right.
yeah, that's what I mean to tell. Yeah.
I think I've grilled him enough. Pavan, do you have some questions for him?
I just have one final question before we wrap up this session, and that is, you know, as a schoolboy, as a young schoolboy, we both were, for those who don't know, we both were classmates for almost 7 years. Okay, so that's a quite a long friendship. So, and the friendship continues. So the only question I have is, as a schoolboy, did you ever think that, you know, whatever you're doing right now was even possible? Whatever whatever field you're in right now, AI and all that. At that point, what did you want to become? And what, you know, that's just the thing. What did you want to become, and what have you become?
Okay. There were multiple thoughts back then. I wanted to become a scientist. I wanted to become
But
an army officer. I wanted to do that, this, and everything. But I've never imagined that I would be ended up in an engineering school and trying to play around with this technology and trying to improve. Uh, Honestly speaking, back then I had like multiple opinions, but right now, what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to improve myself, I'm pretty sure uh, after 5 years or 10 years, I'll be in a position where I can make some real impact to the society by giving good, wonderful solutions and making India a better place.
Pavan, I have a question here.
Go ahead.
So I think you did a good job asking the question. I have a more interesting question to ask him. So
Go
since
ahead.
you are friends for like so many years, you were together in school. You thought about so many things in school. Did you ever think that you'll be here on CD Path with us as your moderator? Get
No,
taking some inspiration from
no,
Kapil Sharma show.
no. To be honest, just
Not,
one.
I'm not asking this to you. I'm asking this to Jakaran.
Sorry, can you come again? I lost
Oh
you.
my God, you just lost my most important question in this session. The
Can you come
question
again?
was that since you guys have been friends for so many years now, and since Pavan said
Mhm.
that, did you ever think you'll end up as an engineer, which most of us don't think? Uh, I have another question for you. Did you ever think you will be on CD Bath with Pavan and Lovepreet as your moderators? I mean, how big
Oh,
a privilege is this?
seriously. I had no clue, but I'm privileged right now. You guys are doing a wonderful job trying to bring up the different spheres of people onto a platform where the stories can be heard and that can be triggering point of some other inspirations for some other students. That's really a wonderful task. Even if one student is inspired or one student is impacted, I guess
That's
you
true.
guys have done a wonderful job. And honestly speaking, yeah, it's a really great initiative. And thanks for having me on this, great initiative, which is a budding initiative. I'm pretty sure it will be growing up very big, and maybe you'll be soon on televisions as well.
Thank
Maybe
you,
having
thank you.
some live shows. Yeah.
I think this is quite a compliment, and it's better we don't add this because then this would rather look like a promotional question. Anyways, it was fun having you with us. Pavan, do you have anything to add to it,
No,
or else we
you
can
can
wind up?
conclude. You can conclude. Yeah, you can wind up.
Yes. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us, Jay. Your experiences and all the insights and everything that you shared with us was amazing. We loved recording with you. And having said that, I met you for the very first time a few days back only. Not met you, virtually met you. Thanks to AI for that. And
This
yeah,
is
it
the
was a pleasure meeting.
new world now.
Sorry.
Impact of Corona.
Yeah, thanks to Corona that all of us are able to meet. He's the alumni of HPS, and we all three of us share one thing in common, which is our school, which is Hyderabad Public School. And I really hope a lot of success for you. I wish you all the luck for your future. I wish you make histories in AI, and I hope you someday you will be owning a company like Tesla, and probably you won't have to think what comes to your mind after thinking about Elon Musk. It will be you yourself will be making histories in the world.
Oh
So
my
thanks a lot for joining us.
God.
For all the guests who, for all the listeners who have been cooperating with us and keeping with us till the end, thank you so much. Keep in touch. We'll again come back with another interesting video podcast for all of you. Till then, take care of yourself, take care of your families, and be positive and take up engineering with a lot of brain and thought. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next episode.